I'm about to ask him a question about money.
Yep. You gonna make a transition?
Gonna make a transition. Because we asked him, you asked him what does all his free time. He wants to make money. It's a big goal of his life. So I'm asking him.
Yeah. All right, you ready? Introduce yourself.
I'm Sawyer Rush, and I work for King of Pops.
All right.
So you really you spend a lot of your free time studying. You want to make a lot of money. It's a big goal in your life, which I think is fine. One day, when your time is done and you're gonna close your eyes for the last time, where do you think you're gonna be? You think you're gonna be in heaven? You think you're gonna be in hell? What do you believe about that when you're all done?
To be honest, I never really thought about it.
Yeah. Well, I just kind of wonder because a lot of times we think about our goals for now, and making a lot of money, but one day when you're gone, where will all that money go and what's going to happen, and then where are you going to be? I think about that sometimes too.
Hopefully by then I'll have children, then grandchildren, and whatever's left that I left behind. Hopefully will go to them.
Yeah.
Then if they can sustain off that for their entire lifetime, it can go down to their grandchildren and hopefully just continue that.
Yeah. What do you think it takes when you die one day? If there was a reality that where you're even going to heaven or going to go to hell, what do you think it would take for you to go to heaven?
Never been asked such a sophisticated question.
Well, can I ask? Let me kind of go down that one. What do you think happens when you die? What do you think's going to happen to you?
I don't know. I always thought it would just be, either you guys are right and it's heaven or hell, or it's just darkness. I feel like you, I don't know. I just always felt like it would just be dark.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
I think those are the only three answers I can think of: heaven, hell, or just nothing but darkness.
I remember when I was little and I had that same thought. I was when I say little, 8 or 9, and I used to I believed there was God, but I didn't really think about afterlife, and I always thought maybe one day God will give us another chance or something like that. And when I was younger, I remember learning about just the hope that Jesus gave us for life now and then life after, and the fact that he paid a price that no amount of money or any kind of work could pay for me to be right with God, for me to live with God forever, for him to give me a new life now and a new life in eternity. I can just face the uncertainties of this life. I think that hope also defines how I'm going to use what God gives me today. How does that shape how I live today, so that when I go and be with him later, that's also going to be what I leave behind. It's not just the money from my family, but also this legacy of what God has done with me already in this life. And so I just want to ask you about that, because I believe it's one of the most important questions, besides hey, what do you do with your free time? But what's going to happen, man, one day? And so
I don't know. I've never put enough thought into it. I just kind of wanted to make it good enough in life to where I didn't have to look at my money and say, hey, can I buy this meal? Or hey, can I buy this shirt? Or hey, can I pay rent tonight, or that sort of stuff. I always just wanted to make just enough money to where I'd never have to look at the account and say, can I afford this?
Yeah, there's security there, right? There's security, yeah.
Did you grow up in poverty?
No, we grew up in a fairly stable house. I mean, we weren't living paycheck to paycheck, but we had just enough to where we can go out on trips and still live a normal life.
Yeah.
But we did live with a lot of people. But my dad is a firefighter still, and he's in his 70s.
Have you ever specifically heard what Jesus said about the afterlife?
No, not really. I never really paid attention whenever we went to church. Or
of course.
I was either on my phone or looking at the stars. But
yeah, so I don't know if you know the statistic. Every single 24 hours, 150,000 people die. Every single 24 hours. Did you know that?
I thought that was every year. Oh. Well, now I know. I didn't want to say it, but I don't necessarily believe in reincarnation.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Nobody really knows until.
I'll tell you a good thought. So Jesus was probably the most interesting man that ever lived on the face of the planet. I mean, there's so many different things he impacted. Either he's crazy, he's lying, or he's a lunatic. Because he basically says, I'm the way to get to heaven, and nobody gets to heaven unless they come through me. So either he's lying, or he's a lunatic, or he's really who he said he is. Which one would you lean towards?
I would lean towards him either lying or
Okay.
him telling the truth.
So,
So I'm
yeah.
like right there in the middle.
Yeah. All right.
And one
Yeah.
thing too, I just want to I think piggyback. You know, he said he's the way to heaven. He's the way to the Father. But he also said that like my children are in my hand, and no one can snatch them from me. And like I know you've talked a lot about security, right? Financial security. And so for us, what drives us, what gives us the hope is that spiritual security that I'm in Jesus' hand. And nothing's going to happen. No matter if the stock market crashes, no matter if I die today, I'm going to be with Him. Because there was a point when I said, you know what, Jesus, I believe who you are or who you are, who you say you are. And I believe that I'm a sinner, that I need you to forgive me of that. And I believe that I'm going to follow you with the rest of my life. And now my security is found in Him. And I think you've got the same security today too, if you wanted to do that.
Okay.
All right. So I'll give you his central message. You ever heard of the good person test?
The what?
The good person test.
Maybe it sounds familiar, but I don't think I've ever done it.
All right. Read my shirt real quick.
What kind of person goes to hell?
So what kind of person you think goes in?
Well, speaking from I'm not quite a Christian, but I'm going to try to speak from a Christian
Sure.
standpoint. Somebody who believes in God and gives their life to Jesus, or
Yeah.
is that what it is? I think that they go to heaven.
Yeah.
Anybody who doesn't do that goes to hell.
You agree with that, or just kind of in the middle?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I've never put enough thought into it. I
Yeah.
never paid attention to church growing up, so
Yeah.
I'm just more like,
Yeah.
it is what
It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll give you his central message, and you see where you lean towards. So I'll use my fingers to kind of help you remember it. The thumb kind of represents how everything started out A-OK with the story of Adam and Eve. You remember that story?
Yeah.
You remember what happened? Messed everything up.
Yes.
All right. They ate from the tree they weren't supposed to eat from. Now, what letter is in the middle of the word sin?
I'm sorry, what?
What letter is in the middle of the word sin?
I.
Yeah. So they wanted to be number one. They wanted to do what I wanted to do instead of what God wanted us to do. I mean, we all done that, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you the good person test. So it's just a good person test to evaluate if what Jesus said is true. Let's just see where you're gonna be. All right. How many lies have you told in your life?
Infinite.
Okay. Keep on mind. Have you ever stolen anything?
Yes.
Jesus said if you look at someone with lust, you commit adultery in your heart already. Have you ever looked at someone with lust?
Define lust. I
Like
forgot
look at someone with sexual intent that's not
Oh,
your wife.
yes.
All right, we cousins, man. All right. Have you ever used God's name in vain?
Yes.
You ever been angry with somebody?
Yes.
You're so honest, man.
I'm one of the most honest people you'll ever
You
meet.
are.
I love that.
I do love that too. So, man, if you look at the standard, if you were to stand before God tonight, now I do hope you live the duration of your life, but if you were to stand before Him tonight, He'll have to do what a good judge does because we all went our own way. That's what the middle finger represents. He's high and He's holy above all the rest of us. That means He's like a judge
Yeah.
that's going to punish the murder. If a murder stands before the judge, what does the judge owe the murder?
Sentencing?
Yeah, some type of sentence, some type of appropriate punishment. Well, since we violated God's standard and went our own way, He owes us, that's the death penalty. You have any idea who killed Jesus?
Well, the people.
Yep. Well, you and I did because He went to the cross for our
Sins.
Yeah, so there's no amount of really good things you can do to pay Him off. It is almost like somebody comes into your home, takes an AK-47, guns down your entire family. How much money could they give you to walk free?
Okay. Well, pretty much nothing.
No,
Because that's your family. That's priceless.
no, it's probably it should anger you that they will try to pay you off. Well, most people are going to try to get to heaven by trying to pay God off by performance and trying to be a good person, try to cross every I and dot every T. That's going to anger Him because we killed His son. That's not going to be sufficient. So that's why the Bible says God loved us enough because He knew we couldn't keep the standard. So the commitment finger, I've been married 14 years. I would die for my wife, right?
Yeah.
Well, God loved you so much that He committed Himself to die on the cross for your sin because He knew you were not going to be able to close the gap by being good.
Yeah.
It's almost like though you're charged with $1 billion worth of speeding tickets. If somebody comes in and pays your speeding fine, the judge can do what?
Decline it?
Yeah, he can let you go. He can dismiss your case because somebody paid the fine for you,
Okay. Yeah.
right? You couldn't pay him under the table. If you paid the man under the table, and the judge let you go, what kind of judge would he be?
Bad judge.
Bad judge. So God can't be paid under the table by being good or trying to connive him or persuade him. The only thing that impresses him is what Jesus did on the cross. So God loved you enough to send Jesus to pay your fine because he knew you couldn't pay it. That's how much he loves you.
That's a good way to read it out.
Yeah. That's what makes Jesus so impressive. Is because every other religion says I have to try to pay God under the table to try to like secure my place in heaven. That's religion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now that you say that, I'm kind of looking at it. And it's
Makes sense?
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're trying